of like see maybe your Google Photos, kind of your Google Photos that you use when you post all your photos and stuff. It can be likened to something like that, but this time around you are putting your code bases over there. So that's just an overview of what the GitHub is. Now, the main thing that we used to do the version control, let me see. The main, or let me say, the main thing behind the GitHub is Git. Yes, that's the main thing behind the GitHub. It's called Git. It's just a command line program that you have here. So I have it installed. If you are using Windows, the installation process is different. So we'll look at how to install that one. I'm not sure I can show you the Windows installation because I'm using a Mac. So perhaps I will send you a link to the installer. You just click it, just like I install the VLC and the rest. Then when you open your terminal, when you type the Git, it will show up. Okay, so right now what I want to do is I want to let me go to this code zone. Let me go to this folder. Yeah. And then let me do let me create a directory called Git practice. Yeah. Then we code. I'll open that Git practice in VS Code. Yes. Okay. Since all of you are using VS Code, I'll open that Git folder in VS Code. Now let's say this Git practice, like it's a project you are working on. We create our index.html. I'll use HTML5, it doesn't matter. Then let's say we have our index.css over here. We go ahead and link both of them. Style. No, what am I doing? Let's link it. Link and then index.css. Okay. Git practice. So let's say we build this simple website. Now we can go ahead writing our code without using Git. It's not by force. You can do all your code and everything without Git. So I can build the entire website and everything without Git. That's fine. So let's see something. Let's say I'm trying to find a way to really go about this thing without going too technical. Okay. Let's say today we are working on this project. Now this is just a sample small project. But let's say we had like a bigger project with multiple files and changes and all that. We want to be able to track the different changes that we do as we go along. As you know, the software is plenty. We don't code everything in one day. It's incremental as we go. So we want to be able to like store those changes, be able to mark it and then build incrementally as we go. We also want to be able to collaborate with people. The Git and the GitHub can help us do all of that. So this project that I created, I just created a folder, have 2 files inside. There's no Git inside. So I'm going to go ahead and then we'll run our first Git command, which will be Git init. So what that Git init does is that it sets up it enables us to track our changes. So it will initialize the Git for us. So you see, once I type Git init, it has initialized the repository for us. Now there's some things that you not see here, but so let me open the terminal and then go into the Git practice folder. When I do ls, just like you see over here, you only see the index.css and then the index.html. But if I do ls-a and show all the hidden folders, you see that you now have a new folder over here called .git. And this is what is going to enable us to track our code base. If I go ahead and remove it, and remove that Git folder, you'll notice that our we will no longer be tracking these changes. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I have to refresh this. There we go. So you see, we are no longer tracking changes. Git is no longer initialized. If you go ahead and type Git in it again, it will set up the repository for tracking. And if you check, you see that .git folder over there. So that that's like the folder that will keep track of our changes and everything. If we decide to go into it, we'll see different things over there. We'll see head, config, groups, but we'll not be going over there. All you need to know is that we have our git command. Once you do the git init, it set up a repository for tracking. And if you are using VS Code, you start seeing that this particular section, which we call the source control, you start seeing your files pop up over here. And it will tell you you start seeing certain things like commit changes and all of that. So I don't know whether I should go by the virtual flow before. Okay, let's do the virtual flow. Yes. So I'll go ahead and then remove that git folder again, as if we don't have any git setup. So let me do that once again. So I've done that. So just like we can come in the terminal and tap git init to set up the git, we can also go to the VS Code, this section, the source control, and click on it. And then we have initialize repository. Or you click this button, it will do the same thing that we typing git init in the terminal does. So you see here we have our .git folder, and then our changes are being tracked again. So this is so what we just select over is how to initialize a git repository. You can do that via the git init command in the terminal, or if you prefer the visual flow also, you can just come to the source control tab and then click on initialize repository. Is it clear up to here this point?
No, please, kindly take it again.
Okay. So okay. Okay, let me go again. So I'm going ahead to remove the git folder. Now we don't have git setup anymore. So we have something called git. That git helps us to track changes in our code. Currently, we don't know how to do that yet. That's fine. But just put it at the back of your mind that the git will help us to be able to do that. We'll be able to track changes in our code base. So we can do some work and then we commit it. Right now, if you don't understand commit it, don't worry. But when we do work, we commit it. Just like maybe we are saving a particular version of it. Then we can continue working and then save another version of it. So that helps us like track our changes as we go on. So that let's say in case we did some change that we realize that no, this change we don't like it, we can go back and to the old code that we had. So that's what Git enables you to do. And to set up Git on any of your code base, what you can do is there are two ways to do it. You can do Git init over here. When you do it to set up Git, that's all you have to do to set up Git for you. Or if you don't like to type the Git init in the VS Code too, if you come to this source control section, you see this initialize repository. It's the same thing that the typing git init in your terminal will do. So here it is telling you that the folder currently open doesn't have a git repository. You can initialize a repository which will enable source control features powered by Git. So all you have to do is you hit this button, then we are done. We've created the repository, which is the same way as we type in git init in the terminal. Is it clear up to this point?
Yeah, I think that works when you have the Git installed.
Yes. You have to have the Git installed before. You have to have the Git installed. Yes. So for Windows, you practice it after this session, I will send a link for where to download the Git on your machine so that you can do the same thing that I'm doing over here. But this one, just try to follow along. Okay, so now we are clear how to set up Git
Yes.
on your code base. Okay, awesome. So now that we've set up Git like this now, you see that the changes, the files that you added, index.html and index.css, you can see that they are now popping up over here, that we've made some changes. And if I click on the index.html, it will show that first we didn't have anything in it. Then we created this file with this content. So this is the previous, state of the file, and this is the current state. If you do to the index.css, you see the same thing. That, oh, first we didn't have this, but now we created this index.css. Now you notice that all the files that are open, you see they've written untracked over here. You can see untracked. If I come to any of the gates, I click, you see untracked is at the top, this one too, untracked. Which means that currently we are not using Git to track the changes. To use Git to track the changes, we need to stage the files. Okay, so if I say stage, it's like we want to. So let me do it. We need to tell Git which files to track. So if you hear stage, is still like if you hear stage, this word, no, it means telling Git the files to track. Okay. So what you can do is to do that, you just type this command git add and then the file name index.html. Now you see when I did the git add index.html, you can see that the index.html moved from changes to stage changes. Let me undo that and then we'll see again. So I've unstaged the index.html. I'm no longer tracking it. Let me tell Git to track it again. Git add index.html. And then pay attention to this stuff. You see, I have changes over here. If I do git add index.html, let me make it big. You see that the index.html moved from here to here. So we that index.html file is now staged. Okay, so it's just like we are telling Git to track these changes. The same thing you can do for git add index.css. When we do that, you see index.css also moves to the stage changes. Okay, so what you've learned right now is how to add files to Git to track. Okay, so in essence, we have how to stage files. Okay. Now, the same way we can do git add index.html, git add index.css, and then it will move from changes to stage, We can do the same thing with through the graphic approach. So currently I've gone back to unstage them. So you see that the index.html file is on track. It's showing index.css is on track. If you want to do the same thing, git add and then the file name, you can do the same thing visually. Just hover over the file. So for this, I hover over the index.html. Then you click this plus button called stage changes. You see, I click on it. It will be the same thing that git add does. I can hover over index.css and then click the plus. I click it. It does the same thing as me doing git add index.css. So this is how you stage your files. So if stage means you are telling Git to track these files. Is that clear to this point? I know it can be a bit confusing.
You can go over the staging with the VS Code once more.
Okay. Okay.
Just the last part you just did.
Okay. Okay. So so I'll go ahead and then unstage these changes. That means I'm telling Git not to track these files. Now we have the Git setup all right. And we have files in this code base, the index.html and the index.css. But we need to tell Git that please track files. So to do that, we use the command git add and then the name of the file to track. So you can do git add index.html to track the HTML file. When I do that, you see that it moves to state changes. To do for CSS, so I'll do git add index.css, and then it moves to that section also. Now, the same command that we are using, git add index.html, git add index.css, we can use the UI to also do those same changes. So visually, if I come here, I can hover over the index.html and then click this button, the plus sign. It will do the same thing as git add index.html and click the index.css. It will also do the same thing as git add index.css. And that's how you tell Git to track the files that you want. Now, instead of saying we want to tell Git to track all the files that we want, or let me take for index.html, I want Git to track the index.html file. Instead of me saying all of that, I can say I want to stage the index.html file. So if you hear stage, it's the same thing as saying I want Git to track this file.
Okay.
Okay. So now you might wonder, right now you might be thinking, if you can just click on this button, initialize repository to do the same thing as git init. You can just click on the plus sign and to do the same thing as git add. So why you might be wondering that so if there's this easy way, why learn and be typing git add index.html, git add index.css? The matter of the fact is that sometimes when you are doing the programming or stuff, you might be in an environment where there's no graphic interface and you still need to commit your changes. You need to initialize a repository and do all of those things. So you have to learn the command alongside. This tool is more of like help easing you into it, showing that it is not too complicated. So git add, you know that is the same as you adding these files to the staging area. So learn the commands also. Pay attention to the commands because they are also very important. Unless if you do only the UI, like using just the UI to do it, when you find yourself in an environment that doesn't have the UI, you start wondering if you know Git to begin with. So yes, pay attention to the commands as well. Okay, so now we've learned how to initialize a repository using Git init and how to do it graphically. We've also learned how to tell Git to track certain files, the files that you want using Git add. So the next phase of it is now when you add certain files to Git, like telling Git that, oh, track these files, when you've moved those files to the staging area or you stage those files, the next bit is to commit the changes. So you can do that using the command. Who can guess the command we use to commit the changes? You are mentioning him, so let me see who is on the call. Okay, forgive. Give us. what do you think will be the command to track, to commit changes?
That is the git init.
Yeah, so yes, so git init is to initialize the repository to kind of set up Git. So that's the git init. Then to add changes to that is to like stage a file, you use git add. So to add, to tell Git that, oh, add these files, I want to you to track them, we use git add. So to commit a change, which command do you think we can use?
Maybe git commit.
Excellent. That's it. Git commit. There you go. So just do git commit, and then you are good to go. So you use the git command, git commit command to commit changes. Now, usually when we are committing, we need to put like a descriptive message of what we've done so far, so that we can remember when we are looking back in time, remember that, oh, I did these changes. All these changes that I did, like this is what is related to. So for example, this index.html and then index.css that we did, we can add a message that says setup project. You can just say setup project. So I can do git commit -m. If I'm using the terminal, I use the -m to tell Git that, oh, this is the message that I want to use. And within the quotes, I'll type whatever I want. So I can type set up project with dummy files. Yeah, something like this. Or you can say initialize, let's just use the setup project with dummy files. It's fine. Then we hit enter. That's all. We've made our first commit. It said that. So when we did a git commit, you notice that we get a message, 2 files changed, 15 insertions, and then it created it just added these files, index.css and index.html. So the commit you made, setup project with dummy files, contains the changes that we've made so far. And as you can see, if you see this changes section, no file is longer showing. That doesn't mean the file is gone. The file is still here. Index.html, index.css is still here. But if you check the gate, it's saying that there are no changes because we've committed the changes that we've just made. Let me go ahead and then undo the last commit. Okay. So when I undo the commit, you realize that the files come back again. Now the same command that we did, git commit -m, set up project with dummy files, we can just type that message over here too, at the top over here, and then click this commit button. It will do the same thing as we type in git commit -m, the message, to do the same thing. Now I have some tool that can let us see the history. So if I click this git history, you see, to tell us the change that you made, set up project with dummy files. That's what you've done. Okay. So we'll continue this process. We'll continue this process of, now that we've initialized the repository, we added files to the staging area, and then we committed. Now the process of that, they're getting it to do it only once. But for the adding and the committing, we'll be doing it. So we'll make changes, we'll commit it, we make changes, we stage the changes, and then we commit it. We make changes, we stage the changes and commit it. So let's say this file, let me use the index.css. There's nothing inside. Let's put a style inside that we want the body text color text color to be red. And then maybe want the font size to also be very big, 24 pixels. Okay. So I'll go ahead. So you see, in this, there are two tabs, so don't confuse. They have the Explorer and they have the source control. So for this Explorer session, this is where you usually edit your code and stuff. So in the index of CSS, I added this file. Let's go into the index.html. Let's add this one and say, let's add a paragraph. Learning, no, we just say, make changes, stage the changes, and then commit the changes. Yes. This, I think this will even, okay, this is fine. So go ahead and save it. Let me run the project so that we see the output. So, oh, I did this thing there. Oh, no. Where's this thing? I found it. I found it, yeah. So we have this over here. So if you have get practice, the output, then we have over here. So you can see the changes that you made. Index.html, index.css. Awesome. So now that we've made these changes, let's go ahead and then stage the changes. To do that, we do get add. Then, so before we go there, let's come to these changes area. You can see that the index.html and the index.css appear again. But when you click on it this time, you see that the index.html just is showing us the new changes that we added. This is what we did, and we can see it. If we come to index.css, we'll see that, oh, we added this body. This is the rule that we added. Any new text that we type, it comes over here. Is it? So this time it doesn't show us the whole changes. The old code that we have is not highlighted. The green part is telling us the new changes that you made. You see. And red is like the thing that you remove. So first there was an empty file, just empty space. We remove that empty space and then we put these CSS styles over there. If you check the file, you see that that's exactly what we did. Then our index.html, we add this paragraph, and it's also reflected. So now let's say we are done. That's the task that they gave us, that we should make it red and then add this dummy test. So we are done. Once we are done with what we want, we'll go ahead and then we'll add the files we want to track. So git add index.html, and then we can specify multiple. First, I did like index.html and then git add index.css. You can specify multiple. You can just do git add index.html, git add index.css. Now, sometimes the files are plenty. You made a lot of changes. If you don't want to add type the individual files name over and over again, you can just do git add dot, and it will track all the files. It will just add all the files to the to Git to track. So you can use the git add command also, like git add space dot, and to do everything instead of you specifying the individual files. Okay. So now that we've staged our changes, we can go ahead and then commit. So type git commit -m. Then we say added git added add, I don't know how to put this, add how should I put this thing? Add the paragraph. add the get cycle. I'll just put something like this. Add the get cycle. And then I hit enter. There we go. We've commit this change also. You see. Now let's go ahead and do another one again. So now we are done with this. Then let's say the following day, we came again, want to do some changes. They said, oh, the paragraph just been like this, it doesn't really convey the steps. So let's make it a step. So we can make it a step with what tag do you think I use to make this a step? Okay, let's get there. You can use the ordered list tag to make this a step. So li times 3, there we go. So you have make changes. We have stage changes. And we have commit the changes. Make the changes. I like make the changes. Stage the changes. And then commit the changes. It's starting to sound like a mantra. Okay. So we now made these changes and saved it. We look at the output. Yes, it looks good. It looks good. So what we can do now is we can. So what's the next step? Now that we've made the changes, what's the next step for us to do? We'll go ahead and stage the changes. To do that, which command do we use? Use forgive name that I remember, so I'll call forgive. Let me see who is on the call that I can catch somebody. The last C, John, which command do we use? Collins, yeah, on the call. Which command do you use after you've made these changes and then you want to go ahead with that change? Want to go ahead with that change. What command do we use? Which command do we use?
Let's add.
Oh, awesome. So you just do our get add, and then there we go. Then after you've done the get add, let me put this flow so that you see that something is actually changing. Then we do our get commit -m. Then we say make the get cycle into a list. So we are changing. So change. Let me change. Make to change. Change the get cycle into a list. Enter. There we go. You see, we've committed this change as well. So if you can see from here, you can see we have some timeline. The first commit we did was set up project with dummy files. The second commit we did was add the get cycle. And then the most recent one we did was called change the get cycle into a list. So all the commit messages you can see, you can see what we did. And you can see who did it, the name beside it. So if you are working on multiple projects, you see different people's name and what they did. So that's how we commit just the get let's say the get cycle. So we make the changes, we stage the changes using get add, then we commit the changes using get commit. Now let's say after some days, then the change that you made, the person said, oh, the list now, I don't like it like that. That's not the way we want it. So we want our paragraph how it was before. With Gate, we can just go back. We know that over here, this is where we did the paragraph. We click on it, we see the changes we made in that particular commit. Then we can revert those changes back. So we can, it's like time travel. Okay, you can go back to this particular commit that you want. So, should I do something like that? No, we'll not do that. We can just revert the commit instead. Okay, so we can come here. Later, I'll show you how to check out a particular commit and all that. But let's say this change that you made, change the gate cycle into a list. We no longer want that particular change. What you can do is you can do gate commit, then we undo that last commit that we did. And when we undo it, we can, there's a button over here, like, oh no, not this one. We have to unstage them. So we'll go ahead and then on stage, and then when we are finished on stage, you can go up and revert those changes. So you just click discard, and then there you go. So now if you check again, we have our files like this. We discarded those changes, and we check our code. We have the old thing that was there. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Is it clear up to this point? Or do you want me to go over something?
Please, you can go over how to revert the commit.
Okay. Which means I'd have to. Okay, let me redo these changes, please. Let me. I have them. Okay. Okay. So I'll go ahead. Let's say I've now made these changes. I'll go ahead and do our gate add. Then I'll do the gate commit, change the gate cycle into a list. So now we have it over there. So now that we have this, we can, on the VS Code, if you click this section, you go under commit. You can see undo last commit. If you click on that undo last commit, what it will do is that it will undo that commit that you did. So usually we say it will revert the commit. So when you revert that commit, what you can do is you can now choose to, you see the process that we went through was, we made the changes, we staged the commits, we staged the changes, and then we committed the changes. So the other way around, what you have to do is first you have to revert the commit, which we just did. Then we have to unstage the changes. To unstage the changes, you can just click this minus. You see? So after unstaging the changes, we can then revert or discard the changes. And when we click discard, there we go. The changes go away. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's say we made these changes again. We go ahead and add it. And then we commit the changes. Okay. We can do all these things that we did using the like reverting the commit using the VS Code. Sorry, using just like we use the VS Code, we can also use the terminal to do that. But I don't want to overload you with some terminal commands. That's why I've intentionally let go of those ones. So I just want you to focus on the git init for initializing the repository, the git add for staging the changes, and then the git commit for committing the changes. So those are the three important ones I want you to focus on. Yeah, you can all the things you can do the VS, we can do all with the terminal command. But let's keep these three for now. Or let me add a fourth one, because you see these things that you are seeing over here. Okay, the timeline of the commit. There's a git command called git log, which will do the same thing, but you see it is not as pretty as this one. So over here, you see the same thing. You see the commit. So it will start from the bottom. Set up project with dummy files. The same thing you can see over here. Who committed? Who was the author? You see my name and then my email, and to even tell you the time, the date and time over here. Then the second commit that we did was add the git cycle. And you can see the same information, and the one that we just did, change the git cycle to Alice. You can also see those information. So this is the same information that you are seeing here as well. Let's see. Just if I hover over it, you see that it makes it look nicer. That's all. So maybe that's the last one that I git log to see the commit that you've made so far. This git log command will become important when you want to revert back to a particular commit, but that's for another day. Okay. So right now, are you? How do you feel? Like, do you understand the git init, git add, and then the git commit commands? Is the workflow coming together small? Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Okay. I hope it's coming together small. It might take some time to getting used to it. But small. That's so you can right now the most important thing they get in it, git add, and then they git commit. So once you get that one, and then I know git log also. So those ones, let's settle into that one. So now let's say I've done all the changes. You see, I track my changes using Git and all that. Very nice. Now let's say I want to share my code with somebody else. That's where the GitHub comes in. It enables us to host our Git repositories. Okay. If I say repository, you can just think about the code base, like this entire the code. That's what you've written right now. So we can use Git to do that. Sorry, we can use GitHub to do that. So there are two ways. Sometimes I like showing the easy way, or the hard way, then the easy way. So when you come to GitHub, now let's say all of you have GitHub account. We come to GitHub. To add a new repository, you can just click this drop down over here, and then we click new repository. Now, when you come here, we can give the repository name that you want. This project, what do we call it? We call it Git practice. Okay. So we can say, you can call it Tech Nomads Git practice. Then we can choose to make the repository private or public. If it is private, we can choose who to say it. But if it's public, anyone at all on the internet that can have access to our code. So usually if you are working for companies, they unless if you are using for companies, usually you make the repository private. Yes, but if you are, let's say, an open source company or something like the VLC, the Chrome, those things, it can be public as well. It's fine. But usually, if you're working for a company, they make it private. Okay. But this our code base. There's nothing really to hide inside, so I'll make it public. Then I can have an option of adding a readme, but I'll not do that. I'll just click create repository. So all you have to do is, for now, you just type the name of the repository. The default settings are okay. Then click create repository. When we do that, that's all. We've created the repository. But what you realize is that there is no code inside. Nothing is inside. And also, apart from no code being inside, it is not automatically like linked to this repository. We created this repository on GitHub so that you can track these changes. But currently, it is not being tracked. So to do that, we have something we call remotes. So the remote is basically just maybe your GitHub URL. It can be Bitbucket, it can be GitLab, it's different. So it's just basically where the repository should be hosted. And if you come over, because an empty repository, they'll even show you how to do that. You copy this command, get remote add origin. This origin can be any name. It can be git remote add sosu, then the URL. What is important over here is this URL. Okay, this is the most important thing. This URL, it might not be because of this git remote add command. That one there's content, but this can change. Okay, so let's do one. You say git remote add. Now I usually like showing the VS Code also. So you see currently we have no remote found. You can just git remote add. Git remote add. Then we have to give the remote name that you want. So me, I'll call it sosu GitHub. Then I'll paste this thing should come in. No, let me hide it. Okay. I'll say git remote add sosu GitHub, and then the repository. Okay, so if you come here, you see this is our repository. This guy. Because me, I'm using SSH. That's how I have to connect it. If you're using HTTPS, you can just copy the URL like this also. It's fine. But me, I'm using SSH, so that's why I use this option. Okay, so if it's HTTPS, you just copy the URL. Okay, so git remote add the name of the remote, the name that you want to give to that particular remote, and then add it. So now you can see in my VS Code it's reflecting. So GitHub, and it has this. I can add multiple remotes also. Git remote add watching. You see, and I add another remote repository. Git remote add Renku. And this URL can be anything, but it needs to be a valid Git URL. Otherwise, it's just be like okay. Okay, let me remove this dummy this thing. It's remote. Is it remove? Then watching. Okay, I've removed that one. So you see it disappears over here. So I keep the sosu GitHub. So by just running this command, git remote add the name that you want to give it to, and then the remote URL now. That's all. You've linked this particular Git repository to this GitHub. So now I can go ahead and then push my changes to that particular repository. And to do that, I use the command git push, then the name of the remote, so soup GitHub, then the branch I want to push. So now another concept, you have branch. Right now we have only one branch. It's called the main branch. Okay, so we'll type it main. Then there we go. So if I type this command, it will push the changes that you've done to the GitHub. Now if I refresh, see, voila, our changes is live. Index.area, index.css. Is it? And if I share this URL with you, you'll be able to have access to the code base, what you've done so far. So just to go over, we created a repository, then copy the URL. With that URL, we created a remote using Git remote, Git remote add, and then the URL. Okay. Then after we did that, we had to push our changes. And to push our changes, use the command git push the remote you want to push it to, and then the branch that you want to push. Then that's so right now if I try pushing, see, everything's up to date because I've pushed everything already. And if I refresh this place, how's that? Yes, good. Don't come and disgrace me. Anyways, this should disappear though, but it's fine. Okay. So that's basically it, how to push your changes to a remote repository that you create. Okay. I say, okay, we push the name of the remote and then the branch. Now we have only one branch in our code base, which is the main branch. We can have multiple branches, but that's a concept for another day. I just want you to take this time to see my inside. We've done the git init to initialize the repository, git add to add changes, and then git commit to commit the changes. Then we went to GitHub to create a remote repository. And then we now added that remote repository to our repo using the command git remote add and then the URL of the repository. Then we pushed the changes that we made to the repository that we created using the command git push. So yes, I think that's fine for now. I don't know if it's clear. It's clear to this point. But the main thing though is the git init, git add, git commit, and then you know how to create a repository, and then you add the remote URL. If something, usually if you create an empty repository, you see even the command to do that. You can just choose to paste it, and then the last command is git push. I can also just do git push instead of because you have okay, I've not set a current branch. We'll have to come back to that. If you set a default branch, you can just do git push. But because you've not done that, sorry, a default remote URL or upstream, right? So GitHub and then me, yeah. Now it should work. Usually they name the remote URLs. No? Usually they name them origin for the default one, but usually most people, if you start off that way, you might think that you always have to name the remote URLs origin. You can name it any name you want. Yeah, that's why I chose not to use the origin. But usually I'll say, yeah, the usual way is you, instead of using like the Sosu GitHub that you have, it will be origin. Okay, awesome. So I can still, let me just add it. Git remove Sosu GitHub, git remote, add origin, and then we paste it. So basically that's the same thing. If I do git push origin main, is it? Because I changed the name to origin from Sosu GitHub to origin, I can do that. And it's the same URL. It's just like a variable that is storing the URL. So you see, to still tell me everything is up to date. Okay, is that all? The rest of it. That's all. This published branch list is supposed to disappear. I don't know why it's still there. I think I'll just close it. I'll open it again. If you're not going to stay there. Okay, by the way, that's it. Like, anything else? Is there something else to touch? Okay. Okay, I'm going to do something. So over here, let me say I add a new file. So in the GitHub, I can go and add a new file. I'll say readme.md. GitHub, Git and GitHub is awesome. Then I'll go ahead and commit the changes. Create me commits. So now I'm not in the VS Code. I came to GitHub directly and added a file called readme.md. Now in this my code base, you can see I don't have that file called readme.md. So just like how we push our changes using git push origin main, we can also pull changes from a remote repository, also called upstream, using git pull the name of the remote repository and then the branch you want to pull from. Currently, you have only one branch called main. So git pull origin main, and that will pull the change that you did in the remote repository, which was adding the readme.md. And you can see that now we have the readme.md over here. After I did the git pull, and you can see the commit that I did over there is showing also. Isn't this awesome? So that way, the same, if your friends, multiple of many of you are working on the same project, if your friends make changes and stuff, you cannot pull it using the git pull command. And if you make changes, you can push it using the git push command. I think that's enough for today. But so far, do you have like at least an idea so far? Is anything confusing? Do you have any questions?
So, okay, so we can only state the CSS and HTML files, like our codes only, right?
Not necessarily your codes only. If there was an image, there is an audio file, anything, as long as it's in that folder that you've initialized Git in, you can put anything. Doesn't have to just be code.
Okay.
Some people can go and put movies there. but please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Okay. So you can actually keep your whole Technomats folder there, and everything is in the same spot. Okay.
Yes, you can keep more. It's preferred that you do it per project.
Mm.
Yes. So for every project, it will have a different gate setup. So you initialize the gate in different in your projects. But you can have multiple folders in here as well. So if you had like assets, then let's say you had an image over there, let's say icon.svg over here.
Mhm.
You see, you can commit this as well. So add
Okay.
icon, or let me just use the command line. It's the same thing, git add, git commit, and icon. There we go. So you see, if I push the changes, why did I click publish? I can use the same thing. I can use the same git push already made, but clicking the publish has already done it for me.
Yeah.
So it's shows that everything is up to date.
Okay.
If I refresh my remote, you see the folder assets, and then inside SVG, yeah, icon.svg. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, good question. Any more question? Anything not clear? All right, awesome. Then I guess we can call it a day for now. I've overloaded you a bit, but it's fine. You'll be okay. So the next week we'll be learning about various Git branches. Yes, and then we'll see how to merge and like do things. Yeah, but the main things are about just Git branches, and then the maybe you can do some, yeah, you can do some pull requests and some merging stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So I think, yeah, today was a good session. So okay, so I'll send some.
Have you put Oliver Collins, Beloved, Forgive? You guys understand the concept? It's very crucial if you are going to work on any project with anybody. You won't copy anything on pen drive and send to anybody. It's 21st century. Nobody will copy anything on pen drive there. So the concept is very crucial. We need it for the moving forward and the things we'll be doing. So please make sure you get the concept at least. You don't need to understand all the commands right now, but understand the concept for now. Thursday we'll finish it up, and hopefully moving forward you start applying it in the things you'll be doing. So please grab the opportunity to. In fact, right now some works before they employ you, they'll go and look at your GitHub page and see how you have been committing code. And that will influence their decision as to whether you're a good programmer or you are not. So let's see how we can get this right there.
All right. Thank you very much.
Hello, beloved. Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
So basically, one can code on VS and then push it to the GitHub, or
Yes.
everything is done on the GitHub.
Yeah. So you code locally in your ID. So for in this instance, the VS code, and then once you are done writing your code, not writing your code, like committing and do your changes, you can go ahead and push it to the GitHub. So GitHub is like it's a platform that enables us to host our Git repositories. We have different ones over there. We have Bitbucket also. We have
So it's more
GitLab
or less like
also.
just a storage.
Yes, excellent. Just like how we have the Google Drive, iCloud, the photos. So,
In fact, in those days, people were storing their codes in Dropbox. So it's like a storage, but this is a smart storage sort of for code.
Shared storage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Call it
All right.
distributed version control system.
yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Okay. If no further question, then you can call it a day.
Right, ready your day starts. they call them night, I beg. So they start your day ready there.
Can call it a night.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
All the best, everyone.
Bye.